let's revisit reintroductions. Welcome to Real World AIP, the YouTube channel dedicated to helping you implement the Autoimmune Protocol. I'm Certified AIP Coach Stacy, and today I want to revisit reintroductions. I already have a video out on reintroductions. You can view that here if you're on YouTube or in the description below. But I had a lot of questions after that video, so I just kind of wanted to revisit reintroductions, tell you guys about some new things that I've reintroduced for myself, as well as tell you about a helpful guide that might be of use to you. So I had a bunch of questions from Fiona T. After my last video, she said one of the things people that are not sure about are how to reintroduce seed spices. So basically you can't sprinkle cumin into your tea or just eat it with a spoon, or black pepper. Gross. Good point. So what you can do is add, say you're reintroducing cumin, which is a really good one to reintroduce. Like if that was the only seed-based spice I could ever reintroduce, I'd be happy with that. So just think like taco seasoning. But you could make a ground beef scramble and put like a tablespoon of cumin and a pound of ground beef. And then when you're testing it out, you could just have a spoonful of that beef mix, you know, wait 15 minutes, have 2 spoonfuls of that beef mix, wait 15 minutes, you know, and then after an hour or so, have a normal sized portion. According to the Autoimmune Protocol by Dr. Ballantyne, at that point, after you've had a normal sized portion, you would wait 5 to 7 days before you would reintroduce any other foods. And if after 5 to 7 days you don't have any reactions, then you know that food is good for you. But I've become aware of another step in the reintroduction process that I think is really important and awesome. It's actually been very useful to myself personally. There is a guide called Reintroducing Foods on the Paleo Autoimmune Protocol. It's written by Eileen Laird of Phoenix Helix. She has the most amazing, awesome blog ever. I don't know if you're familiar with the Recipe Roundtable. Every week there's loads of AIP recipes from bloggers. She checks them all to make sure they're actually compliant. If you haven't checked that out, I will put a link below. Awesome, awesome, awesome. She doesn't pay me, she doesn't sponsor me, she didn't ask me to promote this. I just think she's awesome. She also has a podcast. So anyway, she's written this ebook. It's available on her site. I will put a link to that below. It's actually up to date. It's the only book that I'm aware of in existence outside of Dr. Sarah's autoimmune guide that she just came out with, the ebook. This one is actually up to date with the current reintroductions. So basically she guides you step by step through the process, and she includes some things that you don't find anywhere else. Like, she has another step after you do like the teaspoon of whatever, start with a half teaspoon, wait 15 minutes, then have a teaspoon, wait 15 minutes, blah, 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 work up to a regular size portion. And then at that point, you know, are told to stop and wait for 5 to 7 days, right? Eileen's like, no, at this point, you haven't had a reaction yet. Now you're gonna eat that food every day for a week. Now, when I first heard this, I was like, that seems like overkill. But here's the theory behind this. Food intolerance seems to come in 2 different forms. One is like the acute, like you eat it and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, you have symptoms, you know. Or even an hour later, your stomach's rumbling and you're a mess and you're like, I know. But there's another form, it's kind of insidious, it creeps in. The first time you eat the food, that first day, it might be too mild to even notice. But if you eat it every day for a week, it has a cumulative inflammatory effect. I found that to be exactly the case with me and ghee, clarified butter. Me and ghee. I was fine the first time I ate it and I was like, woohoo, great, I can have ghee. And then I started putting it in everything every day. And then after about a week, my tonsils flared up again. Don't want to go into detail, but tonsils were full of stuff I shouldn't be full of. The doctors always wanted to take my tonsils out. When I went on AIP and cut out dairy, for the first time in my life, they were clean and clear. The ghee brought them back, but it took a week of daily eating. So I think that step is pretty awesome. Anyway, she also goes into, you know, when to reintroduce, which foods to do first, the process, mistakes to avoid, and my favorite part of her guide has to be the recipes, because a lot of people have questions, just like Fiona asked about the seed-based spices. Eileen actually covers that too, how to reintroduce seed-based spices. And you don't ever have to have a teaspoonful of pepper alone, ever. She gives you recipes. So like, if you're confused, like, how do I reintroduce egg yolk? Do I just boil an egg and eat the egg yolk? I mean, yeah, I guess you could do that, but she has a recipe for egg yolk hollandaise, which was a much more pleasant way of reintroducing it, I think. She also has a nightshade-free curry seasoning, so it has seed-based spice, but no nightshades, so that's a great way to reintroduce some of the seed-based spices, and she'll give you a method to where you don't necessarily have to take a million years to reintroduce each separate seed-based spice separately. She covers that in the guide, which I think is really helpful, because although if you wanted to go technically and go by the book, you would do like cumin alone and coriander alone and all that. She simplifies it, and then if her simplified version doesn't work, then you could break it down and do one at a time. She's got a recipe for homemade chocolates that you can make to reintroduce cocoa, raspberry vinaigrette with macadamia nut oil, like, oh. So anyway, highly recommend the guide. I'm putting a link below. Let me get back to the questions from Fiona though. Okay, number 2. She says, how many foods should be reintroduced in each stage before moving on to the next? How many foods should we reintroduce per stage to know for sure that we passed it? I mean, I would do all the foods in that stage. I would go through all the stage 1s before I go to stage 2. You may not pass all the stage 1s. You don't have to pass every stage 1. I mean, if you're failing the majority of stage 1s, you're probably not ready for stage 2. If you're okay with, 7 out of 10 stage 1s, you might want to dabble in stage 2, but I would go through them all. But again, with the seed-based spices, it may not be necessary to do every single one individually. I would refer to Eileen's guide for that. She says, once something is reintroduced, should it be included in the diet plan while doing other reintroductions? Yes. So if you successfully reintroduce egg yolks in stage 1, you can absolutely keep eating egg yolks as you reintroduce other things like cocoa or, peas or green beans or something like that. Yes, yes, yes. What is my personal experience with combining reintroduced foods? As long as I'm okay with it, as long as I reintroduced it successfully, it's fine. It's not a matter of like building up negatives or anything like that. If you're okay with it, you're okay with it. You're going to be okay with it alone or okay with it with other things you're okay with. So no need to worry about that. I also would like to just talk about maybe my own personal experience with reintroductions. I've actually expanded my menu a little bit. I still keep all of my YouTube recipes and my recipes on my blog completely 100% AIP elimination phase compliant. Maybe in the future I'll start doing some reintroduction recipes clearly marked. Let me know what you guys think if that's something you'd be interested in. So some of the things that I've reintroduced that I eat often, actually a long time ago I reintroduced all the seed-based spices. No nightshades ever, never, no nightshades. And egg yolks were a fail for me. Ghee was a fail. But anyway, let's talk about successful reintros. I recently started eating a lot of green peas and green beans. I do fine with them. I do make them in the Instant Pot, and I'm not sure if pressure cooking them is making them more digestible, reducing lectins and all that. I've had them without making them in Instant Pot, and I was fine too. Either way, I eat a lot of green peas. And along that line, there's actually 100% green pea pasta. I'm loving that. That's a stage 1 reintro. Highly recommend it if you're ready to start stage 1s. This stuff is pretty decent pasta substitute. If you're not quite there yet, not ready for that, I do have a recipe for green banana noodles, or you can make them with plantains, and that's a pretty solid pasta recipe too, but it's so much easier to buy something. And the ones that I found were made in a gluten-free facility. I'm also really enjoying wild rice. After I watched the Dr. Sarah Ballantyne's lecture on healthy weight loss, at the end she did a lot of like question and answer style stuff that kind of delved outside of healthy weight loss, and she went on a thing about wild rice and how she includes it and how it's good for your microbiome. And I was like, oh, it's not related to what rice, which gives me like major brain fog. I cannot have rice. White rice, brown rice, brain fog city. But wild rice is not related. It's like not in the same, family. Totally different. So I've tried it. I was fine with it. I've been eating a lot of it. I really like it. It just gives things a chewy texture. So another happy re-intro. I've also been eating some beans, not lentils and chickpeas. Viome told me avoid those, so I avoid them. I feel really good. My digestion's awesome. I do what they say and I'm happy. My digestion is still 1000%. I don't have any health issues that I'm currently worried about or trying to fix. Like, I feel amazing. So so I don't touch lentils and chickpeas, but I do eat split peas, mung beans, azuki beans, some navy beans, and I'm fine with those. Black beans, you know, I used to eat a lot of black beans back in the day when I was first diagnosed with celiac, and I still get a little bit of an inflammatory, like autoimmune reaction to black beans. When I eat black bean pasta, I get a red face. My whole face gets red. So I'm probably not going to buy black bean pasta anymore. But like the mung beans and the azuki beans and all, I seem to be totally fine with. Navy beans. I haven't really delved into kidney beans, or, you know, they seem like they're maybe harder to digest. I don't know. I just stick to those, and I don't eat a ton of them. Also, they make mung bean pasta. So I have been toying around with chestnut flour. Seems totally fine with me. And sorghum. Sorghum, I love it too much, so I'm not going to make it a lot, because when I do make a batch, I eat a lot of it. Like, it's so good and chewy and yummy, but it seems to be okay with me too. But I don't want to like go to a completely grain-based diet again, you know, try to stick to like that basic paleo template, but I am adding those things in little bits. The biggest one that I really am enjoying is that green pea pasta and the peas and green beans. And you'll see a lot of those like if I post my food on Instagram, you know, but I'll always make sure I let you know. This is a re-intro. Anyway, yeah, I hope that answered any further questions you had about re-intros. If you're in the process of reintroducing foods, check out Eileen's book. It's worth it. It's just, it answers every question. It spells things out for you. Also, I have mentioned this before, but I gotta say it again. If you haven't heard of the AIP Summit, I'm really proud to be a part of this. I do a 20-minute segment on having a social life on AIP, how you can date and go to a party and a holiday celebration and a wedding, catered event, a wedding, etc., 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 how to survive social situations. And this is free. If you, there's a link below, a lot of links below. Just go below and look at all the links. If you want to be notified when it's available to view for free, click on the link. It's not just me doing it. There's like all AIP bloggers. There's Angie and Mickey and Sarah, all the people you know. It covers every aspect of the autoimmune protocol. This will be the last video in Mom's house because I'm getting my apartment. I'm moving New Year's Day. So when you see this on Thursday, I will be unpacking. I'm so excited about this. You have no idea. It's time to move. It is time. Sad event happened this week. Remember my new beginnings orchid? Well, I came home. This is another reason I need to move. It's a little cramped in here. I came home and I don't know if you can see this. You want to know what happened to my beautiful orchid? Well, let me tell you. I came home and the two that had blossomed were squashed on the floor, and Wheezy was in the process of eating the one that was just ready to open. She swallowed it before I could get it out of her mouth. She's fine. That was a couple days ago. Didn't cause her any harm. I guess it's partly my fault for teaching my dogs that vegetables are wonderful. They'll eat anything. Arugula, radicchio, dandelion greens, romaine. I mean, they love vegetables. I guess she thought it was a vegetable. So when I get my apartment, I'm gonna get a couple of orchids. And also got myself a record player with my Christmas money. I've always wanted a record player and a big stack of like 33 RPMs. So I got that from my apartment. So in my next video, I'll give you guys a tour of my new place. I'm really excited about it. Until then, have an awesome, happy New Year. And just know that there are good things to come on the channel. I'm finally going to be able to get back in the kitchen, give you guys some new creative recipes and just more kitchen stuff, just more creativity. I'll be able to film more. My quality of my videos will go up. It won't be all this weird lighting and weird backgrounds and just me trying not to talk too loud because I'm in a house full of people and just oh, Real World AIP is back. and better. This is going to be better than that house. All right. So Happy 2020, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Until then, be healthy.